理不尽なほど愛しく終わりへと抗う姿試してる
You're a million years too early to ever host this podcast. It's Super Audio Robo Podcast Z. I'm Ark, that's Neff, and this is the show where we recommend you the finest mecha content for your cultural and artistic development. We still mean it. Sincerely. Please believe us.
Please believe us. Hear us out. Just hear us out before you judge us. We have been teasing this show for a while now. This is the show we've been teasing. It's Cross Ange, baby.
Took us 25 episodes to get to, like, one of the most vulgar mecha anime I can think of, and more importantly, one of the most vulgar anime that is still worth watching through, even with that stipulation.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure there are more vulgar anime, but this is one of them. I'm like, no, this one is actually worth it. Trust me, this is trashy, but it's, you might have a good time.
This is the kind of trashy anime that people that fool themselves into liking Elfen Light think that anime was.
It's worth it, trust us. We'll try to convince you. Hopefully we can.
Yeah, we gave a content warning. Maybe not. I don't know. We're still deciding that as we record it. Fuck it. Let's just move on. So, this is about the part where you would ask, hey, so what the fuck is Cross Ange? What is it about?
Oh, yeah, what is it about?
Okay, time for the synopsis. Yeah, this is a big one. Here we go. It goes like this. Humanity has entered an era of peace and prosperity as advances in technology have introduced the concept of mana, bringing magic-like abilities and convenience to everyone. However, in this absurd farce of a society, being unable to use mana brands you as a norma and are treated as brutish, antisocial creatures by others who hate them with extreme sociopathic prejudice. The princess of the Mitsurugi Empire, Angeles, has her life stripped away from her on her 16th birthday when it's revealed that she is a norma, and is banished to the military prison of Arsenal and conscripted to fight dragons using advanced transforming mecha. Now just Ange, her mission is to survive long enough to make the world pay for ever crossing her.
Yeah, that's the simple way to describe Cross Ange, sure.
It's the best description I could give without going into any further detail about the absolute horrid shit that people do in this anime. Least of all, just calling out, like, the entire society in this anime's universe as a bunch of bigots.
I feel like you and I don't know what this says about, like, us, but usually I would say I'm the one who's a little more sensitive about things, but I thought certain moments in this anime are fucking hilarious. But we'll get into that. Why don't we get into the prehistory for now?
Yeah, because there's some important background to get into. So, Cross Ange, Rondo of Dragon and Angel, was a 2014 real robot anime produced by Sunrise. So, I guess if you played the Super Robot Wars and you know like, how many Sunrise-produced anime tends to get in there, I guess it's a no-brainer how this managed to slip into 2 games.
I still can't believe it. Even, like, I remember when Cross Ange was announced for Super Robot Wars, people were like, really? That show? Are you kidding me?
Because somewhat famously, or more commonly, infamously, Mitsuo Fukuda worked on this. Yeah, the Gundam Seed guy, it's him.
Yeah, he worked on this.
Yeah, though admittedly only as like a producer or executive producer. He was very much more like in the, like in that realm of just overseeing and making sure that the whole project was like on track and like and just being like, whether or not some things could be like approved to give it like the budget or scope. Because the actual director for this anime was Yoshiharu Ashino, who's an animator and director on other projects prior to this at Studio 4C, 4 degrees C, 4 Celsius. I don't know how you're fucking supposed to pronounce it. But Ashino's like past works include not just original anime properties, but also, key animations for surprisingly Western animation projects, because that was a thing that 4C has been like well known for. Like, Ashino, I guess like a couple years prior to this had worked on Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox as a as an example. So with him being the director, Fukuda's involvement was was still not insignificant. Like we said, it's doing basically like what the role of a producer is expected. The director, meanwhile, is like has the key vision for the show and like what they want to achieve with it. And even so, despite being producer, like if you have like the slightest passing familiarity with his past work, even his more infamous ones for obvious reasons, like Crosshair just got a surprising amount of like Easter eggs and homages to stuff that he has worked on in the past at Sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess more importantly, was the man crazy enough to approve Ashido's like entire concept for the story and like some of the more intense aspects of it.
I still can't believe this got greenlit the way it is.
Neither can the director. Like, I think he's made comments that like he was always surprised every time. Where it's like, can we really do this? Can we? But then, but Fukuda would just be like, nah, yeah, me and all the other executive producers were like, sure, go ahead.
Then again, there's you know what? There's crazier anime this very season that I never thought would get greenlit, but it's there. I'm not going to say the name of it because that would get this. I don't know if YouTube or Spotify would say it, but
yeah, because if you could not get already by this point with how we have been like talking about this anime in not so hushed tones, is that it is particularly violent and crass with its depiction of like sexual content in a mid-2000s anime that aired on Japanese TV. It like that's the extra wild thing that you have to remember, is that it was able to get away with all this with like presumably like the bare minimum amount of censors that they could like do to have it like past those TV guidelines, because obviously that's how you get more people into the idea of buying the Blu-rays months after the fact.
Yeah,
because you watch rips of those, it's like there's basically nothing being held back.
There really isn't.
But this is like the balancing factor, like despite the vulgarity that is so blatantly on display in this anime, is that like the real draw, like the way that they try to get you in here first before kind of hitting you with like the duality of its very nature, is like its sense of aesthetic regarding like its entire setting. Like it's a very like it's a Magitech type of world, I guess you could say, infusion of like advanced technology and magic. You got like transforming mecha that are like very sleek and like designed in a way that is like appealing to sensibilities of the 2000s.
Yeah.
And also a very large female cast, which plays both into the crass sexual content and the other side of, damn, these are some pretty girls.
Yep.
There's at least a type for you depending on like what you're into. I guarantee it.
I mean, if you're a terrible woman lover, you're going to be feasting in this show.
Yeah, that's basically the commonality.
It's me. I'm that.
Least of all because of the show's protagonist, not just in character but also in voice, provided by the extremely talented and like I think even now still like popular and well revered even to this day, a voice actress and singer Nana Mizuki. Basically, like if you have like a favorite anime of yours from like from the year 2000 onward, chances are is like there's a good chance that like she was voicing a character in that. And not always a 1-to-1 ratio, but sometimes like if it was another work that like she had big involvement in as a character, she was also likely performing songs that were tied to it with their very own powerful energy. Like I want to say, just from like looking back through like her past works, I want to say like the role that she got that basically pushed her career like way forward after her initial few years was when like she was like the secondary protagonist in Lyrical Nanoha. Yeah, Fate Testarossa, and obviously like Lyrical Nanoha also is like known for like its like opening and like other like songs that are associated because they are sung by Nana Mizuki.
Yeah,
and even afterwards, like she's gone on to do like other roles as well. Like count this as like the second person we've mentioned on this podcast who is a fan of Pretty Cure and got their dream role of voicing one, because she was Cure Blossom in probably like the most well-recognized Pretty Cure series internationally, Heartcatch.
Mm-hmm.
And even outside of anime, if you want another example, she was Paz in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Which means, yes, Love Deterrence was sung by her.
Hell yeah.
It's pretty obvious if you've, like, heard any of her other, like, music in the past that you're like, oh yeah, that's her. Like, I'll join in with friends on dunking on Peace Walker for the things that it does that are super dumb and, like, not that good because this is post-MGS3 Kojima. But I immediately turn on them the instant they start shit-talking Love Deterrence. I am going to war.
Also, for you people out there who've watched the show, she was also Tsubasa in Symphogear, who's a very different character from Ange.
Yes, but still another one of those instances of, like, her voice acting talents and talents as a singer were actually, like, the most in unison compared to any of the previous works, because Symphogear's whole gimmick is fighting while singing.
Yeah.
A beautiful combination. And also, I guess, just to kind of wrap this up, because I have been watching this show currently, as it is like a 4-season run, the Magical Girl successor to Symphogear, Princession Orchestra, we have gotten glimpses of what looks to be like the real big bad of the show, and she is voiced by Nana Mizuki.
Hell yes.
I am now 100% expecting that she's going to, that when there's a fight scene involving her, she's going to have her own song, and it is going to kick fucking ass.
It's going to be so good when that happens.
Maybe it happens by the time this goes live. I'm not sure. By the time we're recording this, there's still some episodes left in, like, the second season. But I think we've imparted enough. Nana Mizuki, her involvement here is a pretty big deal, least of all due to Ange, like, the character she plays, being so tonally different from anything that she has done prior or after. And at least she also provides, like, vocals for the first opening of the anime and the second ending on top of that. Weirdly enough, I've always felt the second ending would have fit better as the second OP, considering that the second OP is so weird that Mitsuo Fukuda had to publicly apologize for how shit it was.
It's not as good as the first one, that's for sure.
Nah, it's like the harshest example of, like, when people go on about how it's like the first OP is always the best. Why would you ever change it? Because this is like the biggest drop off going from 1 to 2. Then I think other anime tend to get slammed for whenever they change the opening theme. Like it's fully deserved here.
Yeah.
Really, that's kind of like the core things that need to be brought up about Cross Edge, considering, like, it's a show from, like, the past 10 years, is very recent, and obviously has, like, its dedicated niche that, like, it's, like, you're never seeing anyone bring up Cross Ange in, like, the grand scheme of mecha anime unless it's, like, they want to out themselves as a sicko.
Yeah, I know we mentioned it before. It's not the level of, oh yeah, I watched Gushing with Magical Girls. It's not at that level, but it's still going to give you looks by people if you say you watched it.
Yes. Again, this is an anime that kind of, like, knows how to, like, skirt the line with, like, its content. But despite all odds between the concept, the production staff, and just everything, I guess, when the anime first aired, this was another one of those cases in the early 2010s where it, the earliest examples of not just airing on Japanese TV first, but also simulcasting on Crunchyroll. Just to add even further to the list of why.
Yeah. Why? Sure, I guess.
But again, like, being in anime from this time, prior to the current seasonal model, it got to run for 25 episodes, going from October 5th, 2014 to March 29th, 2015. And it took me basically an entire decade to get around to it, thanks to a very good friend, one that I would say is very well versed in exploring the realm of quote-unquote problematic media. Stuff that is willing to, like, challenge you while still being, like, worth engaging with, both for not just entertainment, but also to, like, look at what it is doing from, like, a critical eye and, like, kind of, have conversation about that sort of thing, rather than just doing what most people would understandably do, which is just have, like, a violently negative reaction to be like, fuck that thing, get it away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those. And it's a shame, because, like, My friend, he and like a friend of his were doing a podcast last year called Problem Addicts. Problem and addicts, 2 words. That's the pun they were going with. And it was mainly for, like super ultra violent niche movies, I mean, for fuck's sake, their second episode was Ichi the Killer. That should tell you everything.
Yeah.
So it's like unfortunately, like still as of this time, they had to put the podcast on hiatus just because of like real life stuff getting in the way of things. But this is the sort of thing where it's like, we are talking about this anime because I liked what my friend's podcast was doing, what it was covering, and when I watched Ange, I realized, oh, this is why my friend loves it. This is 100% in that exact same realm.
It is definitely like in the trashy, but there's something there kind of realm where it's like, no, this show still has some worth to it. This is still, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say this. People are going to look at me weird, but this show still has artistic merit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna die on that hill with you. Yeah, this is an anime that has things that are worth talking about.
Yes, which is why we have a whole episode about it.
And so we can get into the next things that are worth talking about: the primary mecha and characters. Although in the case of the mecha, it's probably going to be the shortest
because there's like one type.
Yeah. There's one. It's basically what the mecha themselves are referred to as their official names, but even then, the official name you're given is derived from what the like a modification of like the actual original name. Because what we're talking about as our primary mecha are the paramales. These are transforming robots where their default form is basically like an open canopy, like futuristic kind of jet oversized hover bike, I guess you could say, is like kind of the way to describe it.
Yeah,
like the whole idea is like that is its primary form, like for high maneuvers, but then it can also transform. And I do like, even though it is not a Valkyrie type of transformation, it does not have 3 forms, but I think it's still distinct enough because of the fact that it's like, its equivalent to fighter form is like that open canopy type of vehicle. So when it becomes the robot, the parts are all folding onto each other that you then get that enclosed canopy type of cockpit that is traditional to giant robots. That's definitely like the coolest part about it, and it manages to look good in the show itself, considering, the time it was made and the fact that, I guess despite being produced at Sunrise, they decided to not give the budget it needed for 2D animation. But whatever, shading and keyframes on it are all solid, so like it's not taking you out of it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of paramales, but it's the kind of thing where, kind of like with Macross, it's how it's like in the original Macross, everyone's piloting the VF1.
Yeah.
But they have like their own custom paint jobs and sometimes have special armaments.
Yeah.
The paramales in Ange take it a bit further, where every character, has their own distinct color scheme that they painted in order to make it distinct, as well as like very unique armaments. Like some might be well suited for like long range engagements, some might have missiles, others might have like a melee weapon that doubles as a boomerang. They all have like their mecha like customized as much as they can to best suit their needs. But there is one paramale that still stands above all of them. That is the Vilcus.
Yeah.
Pretty much like the star of the show. And it is one that is like, it has like very mysterious properties to it compared to all of the others. Like on the outside, it doesn't look that much different. The only thing that's really different is like it has like kind of like the effigy of kind of like a human woman with like wings, kind of as like a 3D emblem. That's like, it's like on the nose of the Vilcus when it's in its flight form, but it's when it transforms into its actual robot mode, it's like on the head.
Yeah.
And as the show goes on, you also realize more. Oh, this is why the Vilcus is important. It can literally like change its color to signify like if it's gonna be like in its super powered up attack mode, or if it's going to just straight up boson jump, and you have no idea where it's going to teleport.
It's weird. It's a wild thing that happens in the show.
I am surprised looking back on it how much I actually kind of dig the paramales.
Yeah,
largely because of the fact that aesthetically, I've never been too big on the really sleek, spiky look for real robots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always kind of prefer something that has like a bit more, I don't need it to be like stocky and box-like, but definitely something that's a bit more on the sleek and bulk to parts of it. It's why I'm such a big fan of Shoji Kawamori's design.
Mm-hmm.
But I think given like the sort of aesthetic choices that this anime has going with it to contrast the vulgarity, I think it weirdly works.
Yeah, I think they fit well for the show with the show. And even if they're all the same mechs, they still find ways to make them distinct for every character in a way that makes them still stand out.
Yeah, it at least succeeds in making it difficult to ever mistake which paramale belongs to who.
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of characters that pilot them in battle. And so to wrap up our extremely short primary mecha section of this podcast, let's get into our primary characters.
The characters!
The fucking stars. Like, you will come to love them even if you think that there is no way that you possibly could.
Yeah.
Because we have our main character, Angelis Ikaruga Misurugi, her full name starting out, before that eventually gets thrown away and she's just Ange. Like a blonde-haired 16-year-old princess who has her life torn away from her, and after 3 miserable episodes of being broken into her new life, she transforms into one of the baddest bitches in all of anime.
This is not we do believe this. I love her so much.
It's like, she does not have sideburns, but like the hot-blooded sideburns are deep in her soul.
Yeah. She is also fucking terrible, and I love her for it.
Her terribleness is obviously, the fault of circumstances outside of her control, which is like, like the whole idea that's presented. Anyone that is a Norma gets like basically put into this group of exiles that are told that's like, okay, you have to fight these beasts called dragons. Dragons is technically an acronym. I forget what it stands for, but when they mention it, like, it's always like the English word dragon in all caps because each letter stands for something. But whatever. It's robots versus dragons. That's the fun, indulgent part of it. And all these girls basically have to fight swarms and swarms of them every day. And as far as Ange, dedicating herself to surviving long enough that she can get revenge on like the entire world for fucking up her life, she is unsurprisingly the best at doing so, much to the chagrin of her squad mates, because everyone's basically working on a bounty system. How many kills you get, that's how much you get paid.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like to think of her as like, she is the Armored Core player that is maximizing on everything to the detriment of everyone else.
Yeah. She's also dumb as bricks, but that's okay. That's just a feature, not a bug.
I guess that's part of the blonde aspect coming in, but whatever. It's not like she's like the dumbness is more from the fact that like after she goes from her previous identity as Angelis to Ange, is like she takes a huge like increase in stubbornness. That's where a lot of her like character flaws come in. Like, she's so headstrong and focused on what she feels that she needs to do, that she is often very oblivious to like obvious things that like she should have seen coming. And that's the sort of thing where like, when it gets bad enough, it's enough to, on rare occasions, actually get her to feel humbled.
Yeah.
So it's what helps, even though she's a bitch.
Yeah.
For basically everything from episode 4 all the way to the end. The show understands that they can't leave her being that one-dimensional for the entire run. As it's all about her trying to basically kind of like balance, like who she was before with like who she is now given her new life, while also trying to change things that like she no longer feels like she is a slave to like the fate that has been given to her. Like the other members of her of the squad she's in are like that to varying degrees, but you don't get that sense as early, largely because they've been like thrust into this life for way longer, and they have been like their personalities are very wild and all over the place.
Yeah.
So we'll get into the members of the Salia squad, named as such because of their leader. Salia, who has a hard enough time like getting everyone at the on the squad like at the beginning to like listen to her, because she was not originally the squad captain. She had to take over after the previous captain got killed, mainly because it was Ange's fault.
Yeah.
So on top of unruly squad members, she also has to deal with Ange.
Yeah, like these are our other characters we're gonna see a lot of during the show, and they're all like, they're very distinct characters. Also, some of them might be lesbians.
Well, when you're stuck on a military prison island where like people that are normas are all women.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at least in the case of Sally, is like she's dark blue hair, twin tails, and on top of like dealing with like the struggles of like trying to keep this squad of unruly women under control, like she also has a bit of an inferiority complex going on, and like constantly seeking validation from the commander of Arsenal, who is a Norma, and like has bigger plans beyond just continuing to fight dragons because the government says you have to keep all us normal people safe. Like there's more going on, but as you might expect, Salia is it all adds up to Salia being the kind of character who wishes that she was the protagonist.
Yeah.
But she's not.
She's not.
And like, weirdly enough, the next character feels more like a valid secondary protagonist than even Salia does, and that is Hilda, who has red hair and also twin tails, but of a different kind. And no, it is not that kind of redhead with twin tails you might be thinking of.
No, it's you just have to see it for yourself. You'll probably see a picture of hers here if you're watching the YouTube video.
Because if you want to talk about members of the Salia squad that are like extremely uncooperative and rude, even aside from Ange, we basically have the leader of her own mean girl clique in this entire show, because her two accomplices are Rosalie and Chris. Rosalie, short brown hair. Chris she's got like silver hair tied into to a braid. Some of her bangs are like covering the right side of her face. And they are at the start of the show, I guess is there a specific name for like something that is like a group sex that is just for people? Because like, I know after Zola gets got, these three are basically left to remain as like a polyamorous triad.
Yeah, just call the polycule.
Polycule? Okay,
yeah,
that's just the general. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a polycule before, went down by one, and it's because of Zola's death happening at the hands of Ange's negligence. Very early on, they are constantly trying to bully the shit out of Ange. But unlike what happens for like the first 3 episodes, where it's just all about actually ruining like Angelise as a person and like just putting her at a breaking point, all of the bullying from Hilda and her 2 underlings is very much played for comedy, because it is just mean girls shit.
Yeah, they're just mean girls. They get owned a lot.
Oh, so much for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ange is just taking it all. It's like, I know some of you all might hate me, but I just can't help that I'm that popular.
Yeah.
Like, it's that energy. It's that whole dynamic they've got going on. At least the 2 remaining characters on the Salia squad are actually well-adjusted, relatively more. You have Ursha, who's like the biggest girl, like the tallest one in the group, with pink hair, always going around with a smile. And just hope to God that you do not insult her or her fashion sense, or she will fucking break you. And still with a smile.
Yeah.
But the last character is Vivian, short girl with like short, kind of like dark red, pink, maroon hair, whatever shade of that. Always has a lollipop, asking random pop quizzes. She is like, she is the nicest out of all like these characters thus far, which is why like that she ends up being kind of like the first proper friend that Ange makes after she has been fully initiated into Arsenal. And by extension, Ursha, because Ursha and Vivian are largely seen together just because they're because they are not like Hilda and her underlings. You know, they are not here to make others miserable out of like a personal vendetta. Vivian, for what it's worth, like she has no real sense of like actually hating the Normas for ruining her life, because as far as she remembers, she's only ever lived in Arsenal. Yeah. Which is a big clue to her origin, which we'll get to in the spoilers.
Yeah, we sure will. Don't worry, y'all.
But to finish the characters, I mean, like, there's more that are in Arsenal that are kind of important, but there's really not enough space or time to get into them. I mean, there is the commander, Jill, but all you really need to know is that she's the commander, that she's the prime bitch of the whole group, and has like the big plans for basically making sure that, like, least of all Ange, but like all Normas can basically get their liberty. But other important characters are Momoka Oginome, who was the handmaid for Princess Angeles. You know, because she was a princess, she obviously has to have a maid that does everything for her, which is why she got through life as long as she did, not being outed as a Norma, because, like, fuck it, she's a princess. Why does she need to use magic specifically? Let her maid do it.
Let just their maid do it. That's how they explain how they never knew Angeles was like a Norma for so long, because her maid just did it for her.
Yeah, and all it took was her dickhead brother to decide, nah, I want to take over my father's kingdom, and I got to get my sister out of the way.
Yeah,
piece of shit. But at least, to Momoka's credit, while she is a magic user, she is the one magic user who is not a bigot. So, like, even when everyone, like, with such, like quick sociopathic timing is always going to, like, immediately turn on Normas regardless of, like, if they were friends or family beforehand, Momoka did not forget. She even goes to Arsenal herself in person to still be by Angelise's side because, like, she's still a maid. It is still, like, her life's purpose to serve, and she still believes in Angelise, even if she is now Ange, and is another key figure in, like, sanding off, like, the new hard edges that Ange gets.
Yeah.
Just to basically help continue her formation into, like, her new well-defined character by the end of it. Remaining characters are Miss not appearing for the first half of the anime, Salamandine, aka Sala, aka Salad, because Salamandine is too long and Ange does not give a shit about trying to remember it.
She really doesn't care.
But she is an important character because she's on the side of the dragons with her own paramale, or rather a dragon male called the Enryugo. So it takes like 10 fucking episodes or however long for the actual rival character to show up. The rival who, yes, her mecha color is red. How could you tell?
Wow, who could have thought?
And it's against a white colored, and it's colored by a white devilish robot. Gee, I wonder if this reminds you of anything.
Yeah, I wonder if it's supposed to mean anything.
Can you believe that there were actually plans to try and get Salamandine to, like, appear by, like, episode 6? I think it was. Like, they had plans for it to be way earlier.
Wow.
But considering, like, the kind of subplot that they needed to get out of the way at that time, I could see why that was pushed back.
Yeah.
And done so to the point where Salamandine had to basically call out the production staff for it in the next episode preview. Yeah, I again, there's plenty in this anime, as you're finding, that is, like, genuinely entertaining, despite how crass it gets.
It is. There's a reason we're recommending it today.
And getting near the end of our characters, we have the most masculine name for the most not masculine looking boy, Tusk. Like, I swear to God, just because of, like, the times I played Killer Instinct, I keep wanting to imagine it is Killer Instinct Tusk. But no, it is this twink that meets Angelis when, like, her Vilkis crashes on a remote island, has trouble repairing it. But he knows how to repair it. He's good with machines. He's basically been living self-sufficiently on this island and never seems to miss a comedic beat where he has a pratfall and falls, like, face first into Ange's cooch.
Yep, that happens several times. Also, it's very brave of an anime to ask, what if there was one male character and that male character was a huge bottom and just gets beat up by the angry ladies?
He is the bottom of this anime. God bless him. like you are all brave souls. But also, because of his background and the fact that, you know, despite not being a woman, which means he's technically not a Norma, he's still not a magic user technically. Which I guess is very obvious since he has his own, like, you know, hover bike mecha thing to get around, and is usually outfitted with, like, you know, like a tactical vest and all kinds of weapons because he's doing, like, guerrilla warfare shit against the Mitsurugi Empire and, like, you know, just the entire society at large in the world of mana.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because it's like this is what makes Tusk so interesting, like among all the other characters, is that I describe him as he is the protagonist of his own anime that ended, and now the only place he has left to go is to another anime where he's no longer the protagonist.
That's it.
But the support to the new one.
That's a good way to put it.
Because he had a clear role that he was assigned to and basically gave up on it when things went bad. But it obviously changed once he had his encounter with Ange, and things go on, and sure enough, you could tell there was a romance blooming. Maybe to the dismay of people that wanted it to end with like an LGBT pairing for our main hero, but I feel like we've seen how bad these women are.
Yeah,
like that would have been a very toxic relationship, no matter like who pairs up with who.
Yeah, it's gonna be toxic no matter what.
At least the fan service in Tusk's case is played for laughs, and he always gets what's coming to him out of it.
Yeah,
yeah. And then we have Embryo. Fuck Embryo.
Yeah, fuck him. It's just the most
fuck him
villain.
and his stupid haircut. We don't even need to go into details about what he is right now. Just that he is the main antagonist, and when you watch him, like on screen, and what his plans are, especially what his plans are in relation to Ange, that realization will hit you. That I guarantee, just like me, you will get up and scream, "Oh fuck no!"
Yeah.
It is bad.
It's bad, but he's...
not a day goes by where I think about an Embryo and like, and by extension think about like what I like best about this series, which is touching grass is not enough. I need horrible things to happen to horrible people. This anime understands that assignment.
I don't know if this is a spoiler, so you could like cut this out if it is, but one of my favorite Super Robot Wars moments is when every single lady character in the game just goes, "Hey, yeah, fuck you, you're terrible." Everyone, even Ray from like Evangelion was like, "Wow, you fucking suck."
Yeah. and even people that he is allied with, like fucking Leonard Testarossa from Full Metal Panic, even he gets discussed after a while. I was like, fuck, why am I working with this douchebag?
Yeah. Even the film faction is like, "You're the worst, dude."
The most hated for extremely justified reasons.
Yeah.
It makes sense when you watch it.
Yeah.
We don't need to say more until we get into spoilers.
Yeah.
But what we can get into is why we recommend this schlock.
Why do we recommend this show?
Okay, look, we know what it looks like. This anime sounds like exploitative trash. It is a fucking 70s women's prison exploitation movie by way of a real robot anime. Mm-hmm. It is trash, and it's fucking awesome. It
doesn't try to hide the fact that it is kind of trashy. It like the way a friend of mine describes it, which I agree is, this is a show that's trashy, and it knows it's trash. It's like it revels in it.
The way it revels in it, combined with the message it gets at, like, I guess depending on who you are and what you look for out of stories, you might think it's self-sabotaging. Like, it kind of have your cake and eat it too. The idea that you are essentially having like a group of exiled and like, you know, exiled women that are hated with such prejudice by bigots. You know, this is basically a story about like the fucked up reality of like bigotry and wanting to change the world for the better. Violently, if necessary, if that awful society cannot change itself. But it's also like you said, it's willing to have fun with it, down to the part where it's like it is not afraid to show titties and characters having sex and just being otherwise like extremely crass and vulgar.
Yeah.
But I just kind of like those exploitation movies of like the 70s, like, or of that era. It's like that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
you kind of can't go too deep into the taking it like so seriously that like the misery is awful, and you can't treat it so much as like a joke that it's like, well, what is the point of feeling invested?
Yeah. It somehow manages to strike a balance where it's like it has things to say actually, along with just being indulgent.
Yeah, because like the thing with this anime, like I can say this especially like from my perspective, like when it comes to things that I always find you know, frustrating to watch, I guess, but not in the way where, like, it's not frustrating because it is bad, but frustrating because I find it, like, personally uncomfortable. Is getting back to the point that this is an anime where it's like the villains, or like just the society at large is just operating on like an absurd concept of bigotry.
Yeah.
Like the idea that you can't use magic, you are literally a monster. Oh yeah, magic, this fucking thing that you use to just hover your briefcase to the side of you as you walk to work.
Or
lazy
open
cunt.
doors. Or just open doors.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing where it's like that kind of oppression. It's like there's a lot of extremely villainous things that characters can do where it's like I could go, yeah, that's awful, but I'm not personally bothered because it is so unrealistic and juvenile. Any sort of villainy that is related to like bigotry and oppression, I am like, that is real. That can happen. I don't like that. And that ties into how extremely uncomfortable this anime is to get started with, because its first 3 episodes are all about like showing that and how it completely ruins the character that you are meant to be invested in and follow their journey. But again, like this anime knows to have like something to balance it out, which means it gets balanced out by the mother of all cathartic moments.
Yeah, like for everything that's happened, like this show is very cathartic to watch when things like, because it's not just misery for misery's sake. There's moments where it's like that makes you get up on the seat going, yeah, fuck that guy or fuck them, and just like cheer for the main characters.
It is a very good feel moment, like when those happen, you get to the other side of it. It's like I often kind of think of it as similar to like in Kamen Rider Black Sun.
Yeah.
If we go with something a lot more recent, and also is a show that has like bigotry and racism like kind of like at the center of it, and like the heroes having to deal with like that type of oppression. And I guess like the Japanese way of doing it is something I totally can get behind, which is to just like fucking deal with it with blunt, overwhelming power and violence.
Yeah, this anime just says very bluntly, yeah, there is no like honor or dignity to suffering. Fuck that, actually. It sucks.
Yeah. You ever watch a Shonen Jump anime of some sort, or any of that ilk, where like even after all the horrible stuff that a villain in the story might do, like they'll just be like, oh, but we forgive you. You know how like fucking deflating and awful that is? What if we had an anime that was like, no, that doesn't work. Like, fuck them. They're irredeemable. This is the show that does that.
Also, as a personal note, I would completely understand if some people like would be turned off, because people are terrible in this show. There is a lot of terrible people and terrible moments. For me,
oh yeah,
and maybe for you, I can't say. This is just for me personally. Some of those moments go so far, they turn around and just become hilarious at how far it goes. I'm like, oh, we're doing this. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, this is terrible.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I'm just thinking about like when Ange finally gets her one moment of verbal payback against Jill because of her quote physical examination in the first episode.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think of when you describe that. It was like, oh, that is like just so dirty what you did.
Yeah,
Holy shit, but it is so deserved.
It is, yeah.
Which, speaking of, really, like the final important thing about recommending this anime, why we like it so much, like this is kind of restating what we already got into with the primary characters, but the star of this anime really is just Ange herself.
Yeah.
One of the most memorable characters in the entire genre. And again, like I said, I would say the most memorable, maybe even Nana Mizuki's best in her entire career. I mean, no bias on my part, obviously.
Yeah.
But you're never going to like mistake this character for anyone else. Someone that is like, that has been pushed to the breaking point, goes so hard into being like headstrong and uncompromising and totally willing to go, you know what? Fucking some people just do not deserve forgiveness or redemption.
Yeah.
There are some characters that get redemption. They do get it, and it's at least earned. But when you get to the end, like, I think the ultimate litmus test will be, like, if you agree with what Ange has to say about, now that the whole conflict is over, what do we do about, X and Y problems.
Yeah.
And her response is, fuck it.
Fuck it.
Who cares? Not my problem.
Yeah. Also, I just another thing is like we talk a lot about how trashy this anime is. I feel like a good comparison would be a Go Nagai work, where it's so far in like the whole sex and violence, but it has something to say.
Yeah, like considering like the works that Go Nagai has done, where like it is like a primary female character, there's definitely some sleazy stuff that happens in those.
Yeah.
But they've always been like, I think even then, like this obviously has a different feel from that, because I almost feel like it might be a missed opportunity at this point. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say this lest I regret it and find out that it is real. But I almost feel like it's a missed opportunity. Go Nagai never did a manga that was just his take on like the women's prison exploitation type story.
God, I don't want to know.
I mean, we already had Araki do that for 2/3 of JoJo Part 6. That's basically it.
Yeah, he did.
If you guys like Stone Ocean, maybe that is a good chance that you'll actually like Cross Ange. If you are able to sit through some of that shit.
Just get through the first 3 episodes. It does not. The first 3 episodes are as bad as it gets.
There's a story arc afterwards that does get close to that same feeling of despair, but like. But it's at least like a lot easier to get through on account of the fact that you're now used to who Ange is as a person, and that is also one of those moments in the anime where it is like I think one of the top 3 biggest moments of catharsis that the show gives.
Okay, here's an early litmus test for you if you think you're going to enjoy Cross Edge. It all depends on how you react to the baby cage. If your reaction to the baby cage is laughter, you're going to enjoy yourself, my dude.
Yeah, laughter at like, wow, this is such fucking overkill for a group of people that they completely demonize.
Yes.
What a fucking farce of a civilization.
Yeah.
Oh man. So where to watch Cross Ange?
Where do we watch
after
it?
we have finally made our case, we have pleaded our argument for this anime. This anime that actually managed to get into Super Robot Wars twice, whereas way worse trash like Darling in the Franxx was never even considered. Suck it.
So think about it. Think about that for a minute.
But as to where to watch Cross Ange, that is unfortunately difficult. Kind of like with last week, actually, because, this was simulcasted with Crunchyroll, back when it first aired. And, you could watch it on Crunchyroll for, like, some years after. But now, like, many other shows that have, like, a page on that service, you can no longer watch the episodes on it. They're just removed. So, and on top of that, these days, there would obviously be no reason to ever seek out, like, the TV broadcast versions of the episodes. Not that I think any of them are possibly saved on, the major sites that would host them. It's all like rips from the Blu-ray. So whether you want them physically or digitally, I mean, you could just look for the Blu-ray secondhand or sail the high seas. It's another one of those.
Also, if you decide to acquire it in certain ways, like I might have, So I just want to mention this. Get ready for the surprise in the opening. You know which surprise I'm talking about, right, Ark?
Actually, do I? I feel like I'm conflating it with multiple surprises.
Oh, okay. So
are we talking about in the OP or
in the OP? There was the vials that I managed to get have changed the OP a little to add a little feature to it. And by that I mean, you remember the scene where Ange and Tusk are naked?
That's
what I'm talking about. I'm glad you know which one I'm talking about.
Again, everyone, this is what you're going to have to accept when you watch Cross Ange. Nudity on display, yet not one nipple. Weirdly enough.
Not one nipple. But someone decided, you know what this OP needs? A giant dong. That was added in by someone, that was not in the official OP.
That was definitely one where I discovered that after the fact and realizing wait, someone added that in there? That's fucking ridiculous.
The only thing they added to the entire show. I'm sorry, I just needed to mention that.
People understood their assignment.
Yes.
That said, though, understandably, even if you get past those first 3 episodes, even if you give it a chance, and for whatever understandable reason you come away being like, yeah, I don't want to continue with this, or I don't like this. If the anime is too much for you, there's a gag manga called Cross Ange, Academy of Dragon and Angel. It's a high school AU for, not quite for a coma, but it is very much like, again, it's a gag manga. It's as silly as you'd expect, but the part that makes it extra silly is how, structurally accurate it is to the main plot beats of the anime. Just that everything is contextualized differently. It's like, Angelise has been revealed to be, discovered she's a Norma, which means, by law, she has to be enrolled into this academy for Normas. Mm-hmm. And so all the ways she tries to get out of it, instead of being, miserable and, sad like it is in the anime, it comes off as extremely, petty and spoiled, a princess would be. Mm-hmm. That, and also, if you want the plot in a more sanded down way elsewhere, without the gags, I mean, there is Super Robot Wars. It was V, I think it was. V was the first one where it actually covers the plot. Yeah. And T, I think, just, it has the units, but, the plot is not as important because they covered it already. Yeah. But that's fun, just because you get less of the egregious stuff, and you get all of the remaining cast chiming in on being like, yeah, fuck Embryo.
Also, you get, many characters go, wow, these lays are fucking terrible, holy shit.
Yeah, it's funny watching, the world of Mana just not be a world, but just, a region of Earth that is known by everyone. It's like, oh, those people are racist. They're assholes.
Yeah.
Well, we got all that out of the way. Mm-hmm. The first half of this episode's over. Now we got to get into the second half to uncover more of the raunchiness that this show has in our spoiler discussion.
Oh yeah, let's go.
We got 2 episodes to talk about as our highlights, mm-hmm. as well as some additional bonus stuff, because it's even though we can't, even though the episode there that it happens is not a highlight per se, it'll still be worth talking about. Stick around to the end. You might want to stick around anyway on account of, if you've not watched Cross Ange, and A, you don't know yet if you still want to watch it, or B, you would just rather hear us talk about it than save you the trouble. That's fine. We don't judge. I've done plenty of Let's Plays where people were like, thank you for playing this game so that I don't have to.
Yeah, it could just be that. Just hear us talk about it if you think the show's not for you.
Totally valid. Yeah, for those that want to stay, well, we'll see you on the other side.
See you, everyone.
Captain's log. No casualties. Ange's still a bitch. That's more or less what is happening in our first highlight episode. Salia's gloom. Oh yeah, where to start? Yeah, well, I guess otherwise, getting back to that joke, it's this is basically, I guess this is at least for half of it, is very much contextualized as a Salia episode, just focusing kind of more on putting a highlight on the struggles of her current duties in Arsenal, being the new captain of the squad after Zola and 2 other newbie recruits got killed during Ange's first sortie. Yeah. And having to basically keep morale together, despite the fact that Ange is uncooperative, and Hilda and her cronies are being especially rude towards her, and of course, still trying to pick fights with Ange whenever they can. And another important fact as well, to kind of add to the constantly growing divide between Ange and everyone else on Arsenal, is that this is the episode after her maid sneaks into Arsenal to see if Ange is alive, and then before Momika basically ends up leaving the island, presumably to get shot by the secret police, Ange uses all the money she earned from bounties to buy back her maid, because apparently money can get you anything when you're a Norma.
Yeah, you could just do that. You could just get a maid if you want, if you have enough money.
Yeah, Jill was she saw the money and was like, fuck it, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, but at least the way it's been going is that Ange is constantly, every time the squad goes into battle, she charges ahead of everyone and basically kills all the dragons. I think it's gotten to the point where she's improved so much that no one on the team is getting any kills. But casualties are 0 at least.
Yeah.
That's a positive, even though even though the behavior is pushing Salia to the breaking point quite clearly.
Yeah, just because of how Ange is just kind of being a bitch to the entire team and taking all their money.
Yeah, money that they need in order to buy food and other necessities. And on top of being the squad captain, like Salia also has the responsibility of like basically being in secret meetings with Jill and some of the other staff of Arsenal, some of the other like veteran Normas about kind of like their plans for Libertas, as they call it. And part of that is involving Tusk, who also was introduced a few episodes prior, and basically after his encounter with Ange, he's basically resumed operations with like his infiltration in the Mitsurugi Empire, trying to figure out, like what they are up to and like kind of like get any resources that they might need in order to make sure that their plan for Libertas can pull through. It's funny because like considering that the reality is that like Arsenal's technically under the jurisdiction of another country that also exiles Norma because everyone on the entire planet is a bigot.
Yeah.
That it does remind you that, oh yeah, like Arsenal's under Rosenblum's jurisdiction, but whatever happens inside Arsenal, like no one else can touch that. Jill's in full control, even though everyone on the outside does not realize it. And especially the one admiral or whoever person on there that is not a Norma and was just sent there to supervise, being like completely outraged over the fact that Momika is still serving the former princess, even though she is a Norma. You're too pure, Momika. Like, really, it's just a shame that all these mana-fueled assholes can't be more like you.
Momoko might be the only decent, like, normal person in this entire show. She's like, yeah, I still want to work with Ange. I still like Ange. And I still want to serve her. She
still treated me like a person. Can you believe that there were initially ideas during production that Momika was also going to have a heel turn?
Oh no, that would be terrible. I would actually not like that very much.
I wouldn't either, but I can kind of see why they possibly were going in that direction, considering, well, the big, I guess, like the big plot thread that gets kicked off after this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember how it was all set up.
I do, yeah.
Like, it was kind of contingent on her coming here in the first place.
Oh, I get it. I can see how they were going to have her have a heel turn.
Yeah, but thankfully, I guess Fukuda did a good job of being like, yeah, no, that would actually sabotage this whole thing. Let's have her be the one good one.
Yeah. Also, like, the whole, like, spiel about, like, calling normal antisocial, it's so funny because it's like, the normal people are way worse in so many ways.
It is literally a classic case of, like, of projection. Yeah. Like they're, especially in this case, she's the one that is picking the fight, calling Momika out on her decision, when Ange is just trying to, doing her best, actually, just trying to ignore her so she can eat her fucking meal.
Yeah.
Like, you berating her is not making things better. You are the asshole in this situation. Everyone else, though, in Salia's own words, everyone is being selfish because of the fact that, morale and cooperation in the squad is still not going well. Of course, everyone being selfish still applies to Salia as she decides to indulge in her fantasies of being a magical girl. Which, we both respect that. We all have our own ways of needing to de-stress from reality. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just too bad that Ange had to see it.
Just walks in and then she just feels humiliated after. It's like, oh no, Ange saw me. I feel incredibly cringe now.
Even though it's like, honestly, that outfit was pretty cute on her.
Yeah. It was still a cute scene.
Yeah. Yeah, just don't feel bad about it. But unfortunately, no, Salia does feel bad about it to the point where she is like, Ange just learned my secret. I must kill her.
She must die.
And that's funny too, because I guess spoilers for the future, she does have an actual heel turn. So like, this isn't even gonna be the last time that like she makes an attempt on Ange's life, as like the seeds of her inferiority complex grow during this episode, that she decides to take a knife into the bathhouse and gets into a fucking naked knife fight with Ange.
Yeah.
Like, this is Cross Ange. Only this anime could get away with so much sex and violence in one package.
It's okay.
And not a single nipple.
There is
somehow.
there is no nipples. Everyone has, like, their tits out, but there's no nipples to see in sight. It makes it so much funnier.
Just everyone is like just fucking Barbie dolls kicking and beating the shit out of each other. It's great. And even it's like it escalates in some funny ass ways as like both Ange and Salia they're verbally arguing about it as well. You know, Salia being like, "You are such an asshole. Oh, like we're supposed to be a team. You can't just run off." And Ange's, actually correct retort is, "It's impossible to be a team when you bitches keep sabotaging me. Tell the others to back off." And it leads to falling into the bath itself, Salia accidentally getting a hold of Ange's tits, realizing hers are bigger, and then getting really mad.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And of course Ursha had to walk in and decide, "Oh, that looks fun." Encourages the fight by tossing the two of them wash brooms to use as swords. I'm here for it.
Yeah, sure. Just keep fighting. Just go at it. Get that frustration out, ladies.
Yeah, too bad, though. That still counts as getting into trouble. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to get into alterations like that.
Yeah.
So now both Salia and Ange have to write their own 50-page apology letter. The 50-page, I'm pretty sure, is simply because, like, the one mana user who ordered it just wanted to make them extra miserable. Yeah. Because, of course, she would do that. It serves no purpose than to be punitive, like, above all else. But at least the nice thing in Ange's case is that because she has her maid now, why does a princess need to write an apology letter?
When you could just have someone else do it for you.
In perfect English. And I have transcribed, like, the entire first page of it because, aside from the fact that some of the names are, like, they're spelled differently because I think when they were, producing this before it got localized, I think they initially intended for Salia to be, like, spelled with a TH, so it was Talia.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck it, Salia is the official name, so, like, we're going with that. And I have it written out. I am going to read it because it is the greatest, like, quote, apology ever made in anything. I, Angelis Ikaruga Misurugi, wish to here provide an explanation regarding the altercation which occurred at the bathhouse between myself and Squadron Number 1 Captain Salia. On the occasion of my daily sorties, my performance has been spectacular, and thinking about it now, this was more than enough to make Captain Salia jealous. However, for my part, I knew nothing of the captain's envy and unfounded slandering of me, and I had no idea whatsoever about the captain's mounting day-to-day stress. Even when the captain came to me at the bathhouse, my only thought was that she had come to praise my usual work. Further, even when Captain Salia came at me with a knife, I thought that this was a unique manifestation of the captain's affection, and I accepted the challenge without a thought. I knocked away the captain's knife, and after some barehanded fighting, we entered into a battle with scrubbing brushes, and I felt it was actually beating her that would meet her expectations. And so before I knew it, I had won a total victory. As far as this goes, I believe my behavior is as it normally is in my day-to-day life. But I have come to learn through this incident that my being elegant and luxurious causes some people to feel envy. I am guilty of no wrongdoing or misconduct in this incident, and I myself am not to blame in the slightest, so I can improve nothing. But if it may be said that the mere perfection of my existence begat it, then I do offer some apology. TLDR, not my fault, lol, skill issue.
Just the most passive-aggressive letter you can write. It's great.
It's a fucking YouTube apology, and for once, I actually accept it.
The one time
especially because, like, there is some truth in it as far as, like, what it says about Salia. That is, like, not apology aside, that part of it is absolutely true, and, like, it is a shame that no one on Arsenal is going to read it and realize that that was actually the problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's the root cause of it.
Yeah, nobody really cares.
Because right now, there is another problem. The good news was that Ange didn't have to write her apology letter.
Mm-hmm.
Bad news, fighting in the open-air bathhouse gave her a cold.
Whoops.
But unsurprisingly, this means that the squad morale is much higher and stable now that Ange isn't stealing the spotlight every fucking day. like training goes off without a hitch. Like same for sorties. Everyone's having a good time, like in between fights. Although I don't think Hilda, Rosalie, and Chris necessarily needed Ange out of the way for them to continue having three-way sex.
Just in case you didn't know what kind of show you were watching.
Yeah, this scene is fucking gratuitous.
It's so gratuitous. Oh.
But eventually those days of Ange being, like, basically out of the picture are going to eventually, like, end soon enough. Least of all because, like, like as like one of the mechanics put it, is like she has a good sense for like what the pilots of a machine are like, what they're thinking based on how beat up their machine is when they come back, and basically makes the observation that it's like, Ange keeps going ahead to killing all the dragons before you, likely because it seems like she does not want anyone else to die on her. Not like Sally is going to believe it at this point.
No, absolutely not. Also, being a mechanic in this place has got to be the cushiest job because, like, yeah, I just have to work on the machines. I don't even have to go out there and fight. It's great.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she had to go out and fight at least early on to, like, earn that position.
Yeah.
But then again, I think the best position would actually be Jasmine's, considering that she runs her own fucking mall.
Yeah, she's just, like...
and charges all products at exorbitant prices.
Yeah, you don't even have to fight at that point. You're just like a merchant.
Yeah, just a very greedy middle-aged lady with a cute dog that has a pilot hat.
Yeah,
pilot helmet. It's great. So now we got like a new encounter with like a dragon. Like the squad sorties without Ange to like investigate like an anomaly, and like on top of the usual hordes of dragons coming in, there's a new one they have not seen before, with special abilities that are specific to this episode as well.
Yeah, of course.
So, can you believe that in anime, this slathering and sexual overtones would call, like, a new species of dragon they'd never seen before a virgin?
Of course they would. Of fucking course they'd call it that.
I feel ashamed that I forgot that this is what they called it.
Yeah.
And that is not only the official designation, but when someone asks, wait, a virgin? What's that? The response is, I take it this is your first time?
Yeah. Oh, it is.
What a dumb joke. I love it.
And then they're all like, we're going to eat up that virgin. I was like, God damn it.
Oh. But yes, this dragon has a gimmick, and that gimmick is manipulating gravity with like the energy emanating from its horns, which means the entire squad is pinned to the ground the instant they get into range. How very super robot like this conundrum is, by the way.
It's so super robots,
Yeah, like we basically need a hyper-specific solution in order to get out of this bind.
Yeah.
And who better to do it than Ange, who comes in still suffering from her cold. Big respect to her stupid determination.
I love how they got Ange in like this big coat and scarf, but they still have enough. They still open it just enough so you can still see the boob window.
Yeah, the boob window's important.
Yeah.
It's important for the plot.
It's important. We needed that boob window and those ass shots.
Big heavy coat, scarf, face mask, everything that you would give someone that you're like, they're sick with something that easily passes. Quick, we need to make sure that they're getting all the care that they need lest they die.
Yeah.
But then again, this is Momoka. I imagine this is entirely normal.
Yeah.
She would absolutely not want like Ange to be doing anything of like strenuous in the slightest.
Yeah.
At least like with a minor, like with a common cold like this.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that makes this extra funny is how it's like, like at the start, you see Ange going in almost ready to make the same mistake because she is so used to the idea of like, no biggie, I'll just kill the dragon like always and you people don't need to do a thing. But Sally is quick to be like, shut up, you fucking bitch. This always happens and this is not going to work in this situation. Listen to me if you don't want to die. So for once, it's one of those rare instances where Ange gets chewed out for something and it is justified 100%.
Yeah.
Like great as she is as a character, she is not immune from any comeuppance of her own.
Yeah.
But it's still also it's so silly, like, just seeing Ange, like, still manage to do the job that she needs to, even though, like, she is, like, on the verge of clearly passing out from, like, just all, like, the protective gear she has on and just being, like, delirious from the fever. Like, going right above the dragon to plunge into the gravity field and being like, it feels like I'm falling. Oh, I am.
Yeah, she's more than a little out of it.
Again, remember, this character is played by Nana Mizuki.
Mm-hmm.
These are performances and, like, character personalities that you're never seeing her do otherwise.
Yeah.
And so, with Salia's order and Ange's execution, we get an Inazuma kick straight through the fucking horn, and now the squad is free to bag the virgin. Fuck, that sounds so wrong. I'm sorry.
I can't believe you wrote that line. I mean, it fits. Yeah.
I again remember what show that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, you ever watch any of like the any videos from Red Letter Media where they always make the joke about it is like, there is no getting around us like not being able to say this one term. We are so getting demonetized.
Yeah,
it's that.
It's that moment.
But at least all's well that ends well. You know, because for once, the rest of the squad are the ones that get the big payout, especially because of Virgin Dragon. You know, the first time it gets claimed on the bounty, you know, the price on that is way higher than any of the normal ones. So finally, like, all the girls that have been basically struggling to earn any money, which, by the way, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the episode as part of Ange's bitchy behavior, is that, like, every time, like, she claims all the bounties, she gives the tiniest, like, amount of compensation to them. Like, just a couple bills in the hand, like, probably something that amounts to only 1% out of her total payout.
Yeah.
What a stingy asshole. But now it's like reversed in this case. She's the one that's getting the tiny compensation because, you know, she came in at the last minute to help, and Salia even did try to, like, you know, compliment her. It's like, you know, you weren't here with us for the whole fight, but, you know, like, we weren't going to leave you with no money. You did help us. And all Ange has to say is, like, give me more money. If you don't, I'm going to tell everyone about your secrets. Even with a cold, she's still ruthless. I fucking love Ange. She's so terrible.
Nothing will stop her from being a big bitch affectionate. Everybody kind of sucks, but not in a way that's really off-putting. And I think that's one of the charms of this show, is they're just really
You're always going to see bits of growth, you know? Even in this episode, because, like, you actually start to see, like, some steps taken to, like, kind of address the very obvious, like divide in, like, the squad's, like, cooperation and morale, because it all comes back to the fact that Hilda, Rosalie, and Chris are always, like, trying to get in Ange's way as payback for Zola's death,
right? And
the fact that it's, like, gone to this absolutely petty extreme that Salia just finally decides to be like, look, I know Ange is a bitch, but her help there actually was effective and made sure that we could all come back alive. Like, Ange, you be more cooperative, and you three stop directly sabotaging her during our sorties.
Yeah.
And it's like, you see Rosalie and Chris, mostly Chris at first, be like, I mean, I guess I kind of forgive you. You did help us. Rosalie's kind of shocked, but then joins in. And that just leaves Hilda being the only one that is like, you fucking traitors. Because she does not want to let go of her. She is not letting go of her hater energy just yet.
Not yet.
Because she needs other things to happen first before she gets her big character development.
Yeah. It's too early for that.
But everyone else celebrates by taking a naked, like, stuffy Ange and just tossing her into the bath to get her cleaned up.
Yeah, of course.
It's one of those silly, you know, like, sexy things, because, again, it's a bunch of naked women in the bath. But at least it's one of those... It has a weird wholesome quality to it, because it is, like, them actually acting like comrades for once, and not just, you know, and not just Vivian and Ursha being the only ones that are friendly with Ange.
Yeah.
Everything's all good. Ange is better from her cold. Momoka gets a message. Ange, please, don't listen. Do not listen to Sylvia's message. Do not fucking leave the island on behalf of your not crippled liar of a little sister. That bitch! That is not me saying something mean for the sake of being mean. That is 100% justified.
No, that is justified. Like, trust us. She should not listen to her sister.
Yeah, because what happens after this is the other uncomfortable story arc after the first 3 episodes, the one that has the big cathartic payoff to it, because it is all about a prison break. And all of it basically leading up to Julio's, like, really unnecessary plan to get her sister killed, because just having her exiled isn't enough.
I need her killed for some reason, because I'm a terrible person, I guess.
I need to deceive her with, like, everyone that she used to consider as friend and family, so I can lure her into a public hanging.
Sure.
Because I'm a totalitarian asshole. Man.
Oh, man, that was the reveal near the end where can I just say it? Can I say the reveal with her sister?
Yeah, say it.
Where she's not even crippled! healed. She can walk.
Yeah.
What?
And all because it's like the doctor said that the injury healed, but it was more convenient for Sylvia, even before being told that like Ange was a Norma and like doing her part in being a sociopathic bigot.
Yeah.
Decided to be an even bigger sociopath by being like, no, it's more convenient for me to be like the dainty, crippled little sister to the princess because that gets me the most sympathy points.
It gets me like everybody has to feel sorry for me, and it's like, holy shit.
Everyone has to feel sorry for me as I take the people that I don't like and fucking whip them to pieces.
Oh God!
What an awful, awful person.
It's so awful.
Oh man. Yeah, it's a good thing that we did not talk about that story arc as our highlight episode.
I feel like that would be a very different story arc because I would be cackling the entire time and you'd be like, oh, you know.
Yeah, and even me, I would just be like, I fucking hate these assholes. I hate these racists.
Yeah.
I want every single one of them to die in like in the flames of eternal hellfire.
Yeah. Which is understandable.
But the best we get is Ange just like telling them all, "You're all fucking pigs. Get lost. I'm done with you."
I'm done.
And then Tusk throws a knife at Julio's face and cuts his cheek wide open.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
So we go ahead from that, thankfully, after showing that yes, the Mitsurugi Empire are still monsters. Embryo finally enters the picture, and Ange nearly succeeds in killing her dickhead of a brother. You know, no hesitation, absolutely got close until the kill was stolen from her by Embryo.
Damn.
Because it is important, like, this show does not chicken out from the idea of fratricide, I guess we could call it. I think, just killing your own sibling.
Yeah.
But still manages to, like redirect that anger where it's like, you know, Ange didn't chicken out. She just got cock-blocked by the villain of the show.
She just would have straight up done it.
Yeah, mostly no regrets, I think. I think there was one line where she reflects on it. It was like, damn, it was actually kind of fucked up. I was so committed to the idea of killing my brother.
Yeah. But still no.
But also that thought, like, passes by her so quickly.
Yeah.
Because she has more important things to worry about as she, Tusk, and Vivian get warped completely like out of existence. You know, like the Vilcus turns blue, Boson jumps to another Earth. The real Earth. Oh. The Earth where the dragons come from.
That's the big twist is they weren't on the real Earth all along. It was a creation by Embryo. And this was the real Earth all along.
In the aftermath of World War VII.
Yeah.
Not as good as I think what Wanted Dead landed on as far as a name for a large scale war, where they called it in the backstory World War X. I think that just makes it even more extreme.
That's pretty funny.
But yes, basically the real Earth is where the dragons come from, and the reason that they have been coming to like the Earth that we thought was real is because Embryo / the Empire Mitsurugi kidnapped the mother dragon, Aura, and is using it as the basis for Mana and keeping their facade of a world order in line. Everything they've been doing is trying to figure out where Aura is and then now to recapture like a rescue operation.
Yeah.
And in the meanwhile of all this, Ange, Tusk, and Vivian, the latter of which was actually a dragon. That was her origin.
Yeah.
It's just that Arsenal recovered her and basically started giving her medicine that like kept her dragon form from coming out and staying as a human. Mm-hmm. Like they clipped her wings and tails just to make sure that she would pass as like a Norma. Mm-hmm. And so what we get is like a story arc that is basically the quiet moment of the entire saga before shit hits the fan again, because now you have our hero in a situation where if they wanted to, after everything they went through, they could have just decided to give up on their hero's journey and just settle here, because they're being treated as a guest by the dragons. The society is extremely open and welcoming and not at all running on prejudice like in the Mitsurugi Empire. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, because of how Ange has been treated for the first half of this series, she still is dealing with major trust issues that like she is not taking to like this entire arrangement comfortably at all.
Yeah, she is she's like, no, what's your angle? There's got to be more to this. You can't be nice for no reason.
This whole real Earth section is where you start to really see that like what the depth of Ange as a character is, because she is like being 100% confronted by the fact that it's like, bro, I get that you have had to basically live like this in order to survive in your world, but elsewhere, this makes you an asshole.
Yeah.
And is kind of realizing it slowly but surely. It still doesn't stop her from, like, punishing Tusk for, like, you know, sexual misunderstandings before eventually having him fall headfirst into another sexual misunderstanding as Salamandine and her escorts walk in for comedy. And I love what she says instantly. Like, she has, like, she does not shame them for this in the slightest, which I think is really wholesome. Starting the day with coitus, I see. Please continue.
She's like, yeah, sure, go for it. Also, on the last episode, a bunch of ladies crowded around the naked Tusk and just staring at his dick.
Because the thing with the dragons and their biology is that this is basically the next evolution of humans that they needed to undertake to survive in, like, you know, this contaminated world that destroyed itself in World War VII.
Yeah.
Is that the males are 100% large fuck-off dragons all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
It's only the female dragons that are able to assume a human form, which is why they are all crowding around Tusk and have him strapped to a medical table in order to give him an examination. Because they're like, oh shit, this is the first time you've seen a boy. A real boy.
And that was just another moment of, oh, this fucking show.
Yeah. Like the show, this incredibly vulgar and sex-crazed show that still manages to, like, mix in such wholesome feelings at the same time. Because with Vivian now being brought back to, like, the Earth that she came from, she reunites with her mother and basically gets the experience that, I guess getting back to earlier episodes, what Hilda was hoping that she was getting when she escaped from Arsenal.
Yeah.
Hoping to see her mother again before realizing, whoops, she decided to have another child and call her Hilda because that was easier to have a replacement.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Even without the mana bigotry, is like, if I ever saw someone or heard of someone in this reality that did that same thing in order to deal with, like, the grief of losing their first child, I'd like, you are so going about this the absolute wrong way.
But at least Vivian is going through a better version of that with an actually caring mother.
Yeah, like actually being shown the home that she was raised in, even down to the point where it was like, I guess even during the years of her absence and grief, like her mother was still holding on to all of, like, her baby clothes and, like, original room and stuff. Mm-hmm. That it was like, you know, just wanting to get caught up with the daughter that she thought was lost. Like, that is also being shown constantly in Ange's face. This wholesome thing that, like, that, you know, understandably frustrates her because she's not getting that with any of her family anymore.
No, yeah.
So following that, we head to the ancient arena of the old world. The arcade.
It's a bowling alley and much more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a fucking Japanese game center.
Yeah.
And if we're being totally honest, this was largely the reason why I suggested this as one of our highlight episodes.
Oh.
This is the next part of Ange's, like, big character growth. Her forming a genuine bond with Salamandine.
Yeah.
Like, the one person that is closest to being her equal. Mm-hmm. Like, at least of all in terms of, like, prior or like stature in life, because Salamandine is also a princess, or priestess, I guess. Mm-hmm. She is of, like, a very, like, kind of a noble rank in the dragon society, hence why, of course, she is the one that pilots the Enryugo. She's the one that has the dragon mail. Mm-hmm. So in order to get Ange's cooperation for the rescue operation they're planning to reclaim Aura, she's like, all right, I want you to help us. You help us, we solve all this problem, we kill Embryo, you no longer need to fight. But also, I know you are a bitch with massive trust issues that see this as, like, an opportunity for us to use you. Mm-hmm. So that is why I challenge you to a series of games in this arena to fight for your freedom.
I mean, sure.
And what games, you might ask?
Yeah, what games do they play?
How about baseball with, like, key animations that look like they are very clearly homaging other, like, baseball anime that exists? Or tennis, which I assume is the same thing. Or F1 Formula Racing, which I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, I have not watched Formula GPX, but I would not be surprised if this is also part of an homage to that.
Yeah.
they do play crane games, and you do see like some of the stuffed toys in there are straight up characters from other Sunrise shows that Fukuda produced, including Gundam Seed.
Yep. And we end things with a game of Twister in their underwear.
Yep.
Because the show can't help itself.
It's really hilarious how it escalates because I'm sorry, but there's nothing sacred about crane games. Those are scams. And B, real dirty as Salamandine to be like just use her tail to like put on one of the spots, even though that's not a limb.
Yeah.
And that is technically like Ange doesn't have that, so she bites the tail.
Of course she does, because she's still a feral child, though. She's a bit feral, right?
Yeah, but you know what? No hard feelings even at the end of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's more or less a draw. Like, the entire competition is, on hold after that as they take a shower because, like, even after that Twister game just goes wrong, you see the two of them having a good laugh about it.
Yeah.
The first real instance in this entire show where you see Ange looking like that she actually has had fun again in her life. And like what follows after this is, again, in the showers, because of course they're women.
Of course.
This is in this anime. But also it's like it's a pretty important conversation in highlighting the differences between the two characters and like drilling more into like the current dilemma that Ange is facing anyway. As well as reinforcing for viewers at home, if you think that this anime is looking to chicken out at any point about how it feels about the world of Mana and its people, is like Salamandine is the princess, like has an important role like in her society. Ange had one prior when she was Angelis, but even if that was like her original birthright, she has officially like moved on to the idea that like they're no longer my people because they rejected me. Why should I care about going back there to solve that world's problems, especially when it's fake? Like, because really, like, the biggest issue that Ange has at the moment is that, like, ever since being branded as a Norma, she has basically been under someone else's orders, mainly Jill and Salia's, and now that she has basically been whisked away to another world, that, like, she is now, like, in the custody of the dragons and basically is being sought out for like her assistance, not realizing that like they probably are willing to just accept it as like a simple ask for help rather than a you do this for us or we kill you.
Yeah.
Like Ange needs to actually learn she has that agency to be like, I'm doing this because I want to, not because I'm told to.
Like just giving her a moment to do something of her own volition and not to feel like she has to.
Yeah, like she doesn't need to keep going through the motions of what she has been doing as Ange in order to survive. Least of all because it's like even if she was fully aware of the plan for Libertas beforehand and completely went along with Jill's like execution of it, which spoilers, she doesn't. It's like she would not have been in a better situation at the end of it compared to what she does after this point where she is asserting more agency. And the first instance she gets of asserting that agency is when a temporal catastrophe happens, as the dragon's village is getting basically overridden by by another reality of previous versions of Earth created by Embryo, and just like people that get caught in the rift are essentially getting like torn apart, fused into the rubble of like that previous Earth, and just dying. It's pretty bad. Like there's surprisingly there's no blood.
Yeah.
Like the really bloody, gory discretion stuff was like surprisingly like at the very beginning of the anime.
Yeah.
This is more like you see the after effects and it's more about the implication of like, oh fuck, this is Embryo's doing. This is awful.
Yeah, there's no blood, but it's still kind of horrific how it's handled when you see them like be merged with like walls or debris. It's like, oh fuck.
Even more dire when it is like where like all the flying debris from like the temporal storm is going everywhere, that it pins down Vivian's mom, and like like her mom pushes her out of the way, even though Vivian could have totally like taken it just fine. She has combat training, but no, like she's still a good mom. She's doing her mother's duty to protect her kid. And even now, it's like Salamandine has like deployed to try and deal with it. But even then, like she gets orders from her command to be like, no, retreat. We have we have no good recourse for this. We have to abandon them. Sorry, but it's like but I can't do that. I am their princess. I have like an important role. Like, what can I even do about this? And sure enough, that is when Ange comes in to be like, dumbass, let's just do this batshit idea I just concocted. Which she wanted to do, by the way, of her own volition.
She wanted to
totally not because of anything else.
Yes, not because she cares or anything.
Except she does.
Yeah.
So, the way it goes is that because the Vilcus and the Enryugo, you know, like a paramale and dragon male, both of which are derived from like the same core original mecha, which is known as Ragna male, they have similar powerful energy cannons embedded in their shoulders that deploy, that are song activated.
Of course, yeah.
So the idea is that by activating these cannons, and you know, the thing with Enryugo specifically is that it is extremely destructive. That even if it were used to destroy the temporal like anomaly that is right in front of them, it would still, like, the energy being dissipated from it would still cause a whole lot of damage even after that point. So Ange's idea is that's like, yeah, we'll just cross the streams with our two cannons and it will cancel both, like, it'll cancel everything out. The temporal anomaly and our energy. It'll work.
And it's like,
I hope.
Sure, I guess. There's no better plan.
Yeah. And all this being powered with a little song that this anime occasionally gives you bits and pieces of, called El Ragna. Sometimes by different names. I forget like what Anjali's mother like referred to it as, because it was originally her mother's song that you hear Ange sing parts of. But then you also have Salamandane's part of the song that she sings. And also, like, again, to go back to how like all these different mecha are derived from Ragna male, Embryo also knows El Ragna because that was originally his song, and he has his own version. And the only positive thing I will ever say about that piece of shit is that he has a pretty good singing voice.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we got.
But it's like, after so many episodes of hearing different versions of El Ragna and realizing that they are part of the same song, like, the climax of this episode is so good because you're getting hit with a duet combining both lyrics, like overcoming this crisis. Wait a minute. I just realized. Transforming mecha? Music used as power? Characters overcoming their differences in a war to strike down a real common foe? Of course! It's obvious! This is a Macross anime!
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to hear Macross was a big inspiration, and they were like, what if Macross was trashier? What if we made trashy Macross?
I also would not be surprised if they somehow did not have it as an influence. In fact, I think I like that better because the unintentionality makes it funnier.
Yeah, that might also be the case where they weren't thinking about it, but it was just subconsciously in their minds.
Yeah, I mean, like, very subconscious, because, like, anime and, like, its tropes are so incestuous with each other that it's like they will so blatantly take ideas that they saw from a show in their childhood because they thought it was cool and just be like, yeah, we're just gonna do that again with our own spin. And then the next person will look at that and be like, that was cool, I'm gonna do my own spin on that. And it repeats for decades. Like, it's a good triumphant moment utilizing, like, the most powerful armament of, like, these unique mecha to, like, you know, save, like, what we initially thought were our antagonists, but are actually, like, the real successors of the human race. Well, like, one of the two. There was the predecessors, which was what Tusk was, like, descended from and is, like, the last survivor of. That's why he's a guy that can't use mana, because he's not even from the world of mana. So, with that crisis resolved, that is basically, like, the full formation of Salamandane and Ange's, like, friendship and trust, basically. Like, they don't need to go back to the arcade to finish their competition. This was basically the final, like, proof of, like, okay, for us, Ange, you have your freedom, and if you're using your freedom to, like, decide to help us of your own will, that's fine too. Which that works out for all of us, you know. Least of all because, you know, she saw Vivian was in danger and wanted to save her, because she also thinks of Vivian as a friend. Yeah, she's grown. But still kind of a bitch, because it's still a pain to keep calling her Salamandane. So Salad it is.
And she's like, then I'll call you Angus. And Ange is just like, no, you won't.
Yeah. And then just keeps coming up with other names in the next episode preview that, like, Ange immediately retorts, are you trying to pick a fight? Oh yeah, we forgot to say as well what like the next episode previews were, which also, as far as why we recommend it, they're always worth getting to at the end of an episode because they barely tell you what happens next, since it's just the characters bitching about what happened.
They're just taking the piss out of the show, out of their own show. It's great.
Like Ange's voice actor going to be like, "Well, this fucking sucked. My character didn't get to do anything except be miserable. I was promised beautiful girls and giant robots. I got the girls, but where are the robots?"
Yeah. They're always worth like watching for that.
Least of all because, again, they're not going to spoil you on the next episode if that's something you're particularly sensitive about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to other stuff we talked about in the past, like the Deshko. You know, its next episode previews are similarly nonsensical. Yeah. They're having fun in the recording booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything that comes after this episode, you know, we finished our highlight discussion, and like as soon as like this is over, you know, Ange is ready to return to the world of mana and finish what she needs to do. Still gets caught up between Jill's plans for Libertas and Embryo's awful, no good, horrible, very bad, disgusting piece of shit plan, which is he's gotten real lusty for Ange. He wants her as his wife.
Boy, does that go places. Oh boy.
Yeah, with I guess one thing I could say about that is like really satisfying, even if it doesn't, you know, end the problem immediately when it happens, is when Ange is like right enough in her head during the times when Embryo is trying to make his move and use mind control and other dirty tactics, is that she is very quick to brutally maim or kill him.
Oh, that is the hilarious thing when he shows up. She just shoots him in the head. He comes back, shoots him again. It's great. It's so funny.
Yeah, and it's like, you really don't need to be doing this. This is a waste. And then my personal favorite, though, is one that apparently has to do with a bit of shenanigans in the recording booth with like both of their voice actors. It's the scene where Embryo gets his hand stabbed. Where in order to get the right vocal delivery out of Embryo's voice actor, Nana Mizuki was also in the booth. She went for the top of his hand, pinched it, and twisted it as hard as she fucking could to get him to react just right to the pain of, oh fuck, she is stabbing me.
Yeah. Which is really fun.
Apparently there was like a similar thing they did where I guess like where I think someone like basically like slammed the pillow against Nana Mizuki's like belly in order to simulate whenever Tusk like falls head first into her vagina. That makes sense. I believe it.
I believe it.
And speaking of Tusk, you want to talk about great cathartic moments? How about putting the villain on tilt by declaring that you had the big sex? Like the episode this happens in. The episode itself is not like everything about it was not enough really for us to count as like a highlight episode for discussion.
Yeah.
Least of all, because it's the penultimate fucking episode.
Yeah.
Like, we would have to focus on just that episode and spend like an episode's amount of discussion beforehand giving you the synopsis of where the plot goes.
Yeah, so...
But all you really need to know in the final battle, or like leading into the final battle, is that Tusk especially has a vendetta against Embryo since, you know, his family and his people were all wiped out by him. He's the last survivor. So there's that bit of motivation for revenge. And even after suicide bombing himself to try and kill Embryo, that wasn't enough to kill Tusk.
Yeah.
In fact, he came back alive, better than ever, found Ange, and then they did the deed.
And he rubs it in his face. And this is like the moment where usually like Embryo is like very smug most of the time, but this is where you see him crack. The first time you actually see him crack and kind of break a little. He is pissed.
Like, he is showing a side of him that like makes it clear that like he is losing control.
Yeah.
Because the person that he has been lusting after and saying all these things about like what he feels is beautiful about her, that he has to go, oh, you can't even possibly imagine the kind of beauty she has or what it would take to tame her. To which, in another bit of transcription from the anime, I have this. And to make it a bit different from what I normally would do, I actually went with the English dub script because it punches up some of the lines in ways that I find are even more hilarious. Even though I still feel that, like, by default, the Japanese voice acting has better delivery on the whole.
Mm-hmm.
But the lines themselves, oh boy. Like, in reaction to Embryo's, like, entire taunting about, like, how he thinks he knows Ange, like, inside and out, like, what makes her so good that no one could possibly understand what that is. All Tusk has to say is, I don't have to. Hell, I can tell you how many freckles she has on her inner thighs. You don't know the first thing about Ange, do you? She's violent, and she's got a serious temper. But she loves to laugh, and she always says exactly what's on her mind. She's the cutest girl there is. And you think you can break her? You're a pathetic excuse for a man, you know that? The extra best part about that is, it doesn't even hit Embryo right away that, like, what Tusk was saying was the truth. He thought he was just saying random shit before, like, the screws turn in his brain to realize, wait, what have you done with her?
Yeah.
And then the second part, what didn't I do with her is a better question. As soon as I found her, we started screwing our brains out. We didn't stop for 3 days. Believe it, buddy. Ange accepted me completely of her own free will. I got to touch the deepest, warmest parts of her no one's ever seen before. And now I'm not afraid of anything.
And you can just see this man break. It's like,
and
it's
he is
great.
so fucking upset.
Yeah.
This is also, and by the way, I think this is also the same episode, or it happened before, I forget. It's around this time as well that Ange manages to, like, you know, basically reveal to Sylvia that you're not a cripple, you awful little bitch.
Yeah.
Like, payoff upon payoff happens by the end of this. Like, it is no exaggeration. Like, this is a wild, sometimes uncomfortable ride.
Yeah.
But we would not be talking about it if the journey did not have, like, such tremendous highs leading into the end.
Yeah, pretty much. It's worth it. Mm-hmm. It's worth all of it.
It was worth finally getting to this because I was not sure how many more episodes of the podcast we were going to keep teasing everyone about this.
Yeah, we had to talk about this. We had to rip that Band-Aid off and talk about this show finally.
Yeah, the one Band-Aid that was, like, over, like, a gaping wound with bones sticking out or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was, like, the most obvious, especially, like, anyone that, like, has been listening to this and, like, has a lot of, like, knowledge of, like, other mecha anime out there like we do, possibly because of what's been featured in Super Robot Wars, they maybe could have guessed that this is what we were leading to.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly hope that they weren't guessing we were going to do Darling in the Franxx, because that would obviously not fly. That is not a recommendation. This one does. You know, it earns its right to exist.
Yeah.
With all of its, like, purposefully awful characters, you get like the catharsis of, like, awful things happening to awful people, and other awful people that you thought would never get any redemption or get what's coming to them, actually, you know, making good and, like, kind of correcting themselves.
Yeah.
Hilda being one of them. Like, I really cannot state enough, like, just stay back to my memories of watching the show, how, like, Hilda having a redemption arc was not on my bingo card.
But she does. She gets a pretty good one, too. That feels kind of earned.
Like, if Tusk was not in this anime and set up to be the romantic interest for Ange, I would have been with everyone and be like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, Ange and Hilda can get together. Least of all because Hilda at least admits that she started to fall for Ange.
Yeah.
But whatever. It still would have been a pretty toxic relationship.
It still would have been toxic. Nothing would have stopped it from being
fucking watch Cross Ange.
Just watch Cross
If
Ange.
you got the stones for it, please do.
Yeah, please do.
There's always it's never a bad thing to, like, focus largely on, like, media or art that I guess you could say, like, of a high enough quality that is, like, that it pushes things forward, is made with, like, such meticulous craft, or even simply might just be something that is there to make you feel good.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like brighten your day in, like, what if the day in question might not have been so good. But sometimes, you know, I guess the take from my friend, like, one of the things that he said on the first episode of his podcast, assuming I don't butcher the line, is like, yeah, having dessert's great, but sometimes you just need a little bit of road gravel.
That's a good way to put it. Just a little bit. A little bit.
Because sometimes it'll make you appreciate the stuff that isn't trashy.
Yeah.
But also be able to appreciate that, oh, even stuff that is willing to challenge you with such harsh content can still have value to it.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
And that That's the takeaway.
Mhm.
That is why it was a worthwhile addition to our list for this podcast.
Yeah.
We're true to our word. We're never recommending an anime that we do not think is like
good.
bad.
Oh yeah, it's not.
Yeah, like it's got to be something that we feel is good, and what is good means it doesn't have to be of like an unrealistically high bar every time.
Yeah,
because we have anime that we talked about that is at that extremely high bar that no other anime can touch.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, there's only, like, as a different friend of mine would say, as far as TV goes, there's only one The Wire.
Yeah.
You can't stress over the fact that not everything else in the medium can be as good as The Wire.
Sometimes you just want something light, something that'll get you through the day, something that's nice and comfortable.
Or something that can, like, just indulge in, like, your horrible sensibilities that only you can keep to yourself.
That too.
Yeah. Thank you, Neff,
Hey.
for being on to stand with me in our defense of Cross Ange.
You're most welcome. I'm glad I could be here for this. This is all leading up to this. Well, it wasn't, but you know.
And everyone that has listened to the podcast, thank you as well for continuing to stick around this long and hear us out on anime that could be as wild and like off the cuff rude as this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun talking about this anime that is ultimately about revenge against the world. Tune in next week where we talk about a different anime that still gets to the point of what if revenge was good?
And
see you, everyone.
We'll see you, everybody.
しほど胸に残る愛しい微笑みがとこしに導く新しい世界へ
Seriously, guys, you've been doing this for how many months and I don't rate higher than a half-assed, hey, this dingus is the one that told me about the show in the first place. Whoop-de-doo, moving on. But you're not even going to have me on the gun sword episode either, you bastards.